And it's like more organized, and it looks like a number with a variable, so I put it times.
It is a number with a variable after you put it next to it.
I'm talking about.
I mean, it's not technically wrong. I just
put it
don't
there.
type them in that way.
So it's right. So I got 100%.
Maybe. Unless you keep arguing and make me mad, I'm gonna be like, you know what? He's wrong. Yeah, you're just right. I looked through them, so don't worry. Alright, so getting started on another lesson. Make sure your headphones are out.
Yeah, dude.
Make sure you're taking notes. Take that earbud out, Gabe. So we are still working with exponents. That's this whole chapter. So on our warm-up, we did an exponent times an exponent. So like our warm-up, we had what, x to the 6 times x negative 2, right? Today it's a little different. Today we're going to take an exponent and put it to a power. So we're not multiplying exponents. This is x to the third to the power of 2. So whenever you have an exponent to a power, it's a little different, not super different, but a little bit. You are going to multiply the exponents together. So it's kind of weird, so make sure you keep track. When I multiplied two things together, I really added the exponents. When I have an exponent to the exponent, I'm going to multiply the exponents. So you got to keep track and make sure you're doing the right thing. Because even though this is a multiply problem, we are adding the exponents. So if I have x to the third and then to the second power, that is really going to be x to the 3 times 2, which is x to the 6th. And let's do a couple examples. If I have x to the negative 4 and then to the 6th power, that is x to the negative 4 times 6, which is x to the negative 24. I don't know why I put that line there. But remember, as you do all these, I don't want any negative exponents in my final answer. So even though this is right, I'm going to have to simplify this by making a fraction, putting 1 on top, x to the 24 on the bottom. So simplify all your negative exponents. I kind of got squished, but that's my final answer. 1 over x to the 24. On this one, I have 4 to the 4, and another 4.
Another 4.
So I'm going to have 4 to the 4 times 4, which is really 4 to the 16.
4/16.
Yeah. And for today, even though you can plug this into Desmos, I'll let you leave it just like this.
Oh man.
So you don't have to actually calculate it, unless it's like a really easy one, like 2 squared is 4. If it's an easy one like that, calculate it. But like 4 to the 16, that's going to be a huge number. Just leave it like this. So if it's easy, simplify it. If it's not easy, don't worry about it.
Oh man.
No, do it.
Alright, and then for this last one, first in class problem, simplify that. On your own, so check with your partner.
What'd you get? 1 over x.
Okay.
Oh, just do your best.
Because that's a negative 6 minus
I need to check my.
She's right there. Check if somebody, your partner, somebody said buy it first.
Yeah, but that's positive.
It's got you there.
Oh shit, you're right. I thought you were talking about.
like how we did on right there.
Maybe about 30 more seconds. Finish it off. I did just leave. I told you to check if somebody said buy ya.
Oh, you didn't tell me to put a fraction there.
We've been doing that this whole chapter. We literally have not stopped doing that since we started this chapter.
Mr. Blake?
Yeah.
Is it one? Well, is it?
Oh, this is my paper.
I always get it like this.
What Ruby get?
Or my hair gets super fuzzy sometimes.
Alright, Luis.
Long time ago.
Oh, I was like, yeah.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Number 14. Got number
Give it to me.
Alright, Luis. What's our answer for this one?
It used to be.
Hey guys,
Just, no, just put your answer down.
What do they? Let's go.
Donkey is still.
Alright, Luis is going to answer this for us. For our final answer is...
Like,
I guess that's an X.
No, but I can only do
Power 3, man. Power 3.
And then it was a negative 12.
Yeah, okay.
Oh wait, my bad, I messed up.
Just put your final answer. Just put your final answer.
I'll
This
have
is
your
hard.
mind.
You what?
I think you're really
Do
thinking
you not
about
want
it.
to put my hair?
Yeah. It's expensive.
I want to put my
You
hair
want
on
to?
though.
Just answer it already.
Junior.
No way.
Terrible X.
I've honestly thought of looking at
I know. 1 over x to the 12.
A little one?
Just because you're doing a bad job at this doesn't mean
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Alright. So for those of you who can't read Luis, it's 1 over x squared.
Dude, everybody created that. That was
Oh,
like
man.
made from an
I don't even know what
angel.
letter this is.
That was made from an angel.
Alright. So this is basically what we're doing today, but it's going to get a little more complicated. It's going to get a little more complicated. So I'm going to look at y to the third, parentheses y to the fifth, and then to the negative 2 power. So we're going to simplify this as much as possible, which means I want to write as few variables as possible. So I don't want a y and then another y. I want to see if I can put this down to one y, or y to some power. I mean. So when we do these, do the exponent outside the parentheses first. So do that part first, and then put the rest together.
Would it be like following?
So you do the y is 5 to the power of 2.
Yeah. So we're going to do the thing outside the parentheses first. So I'm going to do y to the 5 times negative 2, which is negative 10, right? But I haven't done anything with this y3 yet. So I'm just going to put it back in front, like it was before. So 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And now I'm going to put the y's together. And because we are timesing in between these, it's like our warm-up, it's like what we did before. It's going to be y to the negative 7. But we're not quite done because no negative exponents. So 1 over y to the 7. So do the parenthesis exponent part first, and then combine your y's together. So do the power, then combine. I'll write it down.
But Mr. Golfy.
So powers first, and then combine your like terms.
But Mr. Golfy.
Seven.
How does that equal negative 7?
What's
Oh,
3 plus
because
negative 10?
What's 3 plus?
Tell him I was like, I can't hear Mr. Golfy.
What's 3 plus negative 10?
Oh.
Negative 7.
17.
And then you gotta flip around. So we multiplied with the exponents, and after we're done with that, we got rid of the power part. So let's do part A down here. I'm going to do the power part first. So I'm going to do x to the 6 times negative 4, which is x to the negative 24, but I still have this x squared out front. I haven't done anything with that yet. So I'm going to combine these now, and these are no longer, we are going to add these exponents together. Because we don't have an exponent to an exponent. We don't have an exponent to a power. They're just two x's with different exponents. So we're going to add them together to get x to the negative 22. But I can't have negative exponents. 1 over x to the 22.
Let's get it.
Our final answer on that one. 1 over x to the 22.
Dang. Pathetic.
Well, let's start us off, Moses. On part B, what's the first thing we're going to do?
I'm just kidding. You multiply 7 and 3.
To get?
W W21.
Yep. So we're going to do the power to the power part first. You get w to the 21, but I haven't done anything with w to the negative 2, so I got to keep it in there. I can't get rid of it until I actually do something with it. And then Kinsey, what am I going to do now that I did power to the power?
You add them.
What do we get after we add?
19.
W to the 19. All
Would it
right.
be negative 19?
Yes.
No, because it's negative 2 and positive 21. So this one is my final answer here. No negative, so I don't need to flip it. Only flipping is negative. Alright, you guys are going to do part C, but before you get started, on part C, you've got the parenthesis, and then your exponent, and then you got this R3.
Making no sense.
It is just like all these other problems, except the R3's at the end. It doesn't matter. You're going to do the same steps first. You're going to do the power to the power first, and then you're going to put the R3 in. So even though it's written in a different order, it still works exactly the same way. Power to the power, and then combine your r's. So on your own, simplify this, then check with somebody sitting by you or your partner. See if you get the same answer.
Yes, Jace. Very good.
Yes, Ruben.
It's hope.
Thank you.
What did you receive?
What did you get? I got R13. Dang.
Alright, what's up?
Does it look like it's
First, I did, I don't know what to do with it anymore, so. So then 10 times 30. I got 30, but then I
got tired of it.
10 to the third power.
Then so now I just go like that.
Every time I got out of the shower, I just put it on it. It always be in my eye. Yeah.
Did you start a game?
My hair was over there. You get past my nose. Yeah, that's how long it was.
Yeah,
But
you
it
got
didn't
that.
look that long, dude. When I put it down like that, it feels so big. What did you say?
Hey.
What did you say?
You finish this one, Greg?
No, I just have acne. I use.
Is yours, Ty?
I got those.
Ashton,
One zone.
which one's yours?
That's why you kiss
Alright, everybody got this one right? Because I'm walking around, so we're not going to do it on the board. So nice job. Alright, and it's going to get a little bit tougher still. A little bit. Not a lot, but maybe a little. Because I want you to learn. Alright, we are going to look at, in parentheses, 3x to the third, and then outside parentheses to the second power. So, as we go through these, come on, tablet, there we go. So, as we go through these, before I go through that, let me kind of get you started in the right way. If I had a 2 out here, and then I had a parenthesis, and it was like an x plus 4 like this, what would I do with this 2?
Times the x and times the 4.
We would distribute, right? We would times them both. When I have more than one thing inside my parentheses, so before, all we had was like x3. It's like that 3 in front wasn't there, we only had one thing. This time around, we've got more than one thing in there, and it works a lot like distribute, but it's almost like distribute backwards with your exponent. You must use your power on everything inside the parentheses. So I can't just go x to the 3 times 2. I have to put it in, I have to put this 2 exponent with the 3. So it's like a backwards distribute almost. I'm going to do the exponent to the x3, and I'm going to do this exponent on just my regular number, 3. So I'm going to have 3 to the, and what exponent, before I do anything, what exponent is on this 3 in front right now? Even though we're not writing it. 1. There is an exponent of 1 on this 3. We just don't write it because it doesn't matter. But now it kind of does matter. So I'm going to have to do 3 to the 1 times 2. Right there. And then I also have to distribute the 2 with this x3. And I'm going to get 3 to the, or, excuse me, I'm going to get x to the 3 times 2. So it's like a backwards distribute. So I got to put that exponent of 2 on everything. So I'm going to have 3 to the 1 times 2 is 2. And I'm going to have x to the 3 times 2, which is 6. And then because 3 squared, that's a nice one. What is 3 squared?
9.
I thought it was a nice one, but you guys hesitated. It's 9. Since that's a nice one, just calculate it out. If we had like 3 to the 15th or something, don't worry about that one. But if it's a 3 squared, that's a nice easy one.
So
Just
it's
keep it
9 times x over 6. I mean x6.
Yeah, times x6. So this is my final answer. So when you do these, remember, it's like you're distributing the exponent with everything. So let's do this one down here now. So I have 4m in negative 2, and then to the 3rd power on the outside. Oh no, that's times 3. You didn't do power 2. Alright, so on this, we are going to have to backwards distribute this 3. So I'm going to have to put the 3 with the 4 right here. And what exponent did we say that 4 has, even though there's nothing there? 1. So I'm going to have 4 to the 1 times 3. And then I'm gonna have to backwards distribute again with the m. And what about m? What exponent does that have? 1 again. I have m to the 1 times 3. And backwards distribute a third time. N already has an exponent, so that's a little easier. N to the negative 2 times 3. Get a little more space here. Hold on. Alright, and now we can go through and simplify. So I have 4 to the 1 times 3 is 4 to the 3. M to the 1 times 3 is M3. And then I got N, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So we're going to go through and let's simplify it a little more. And 4 to the third really isn't too bad. If it's, let me make it this rule. If you have a number and the exponent is 3 or less, it's 2 or 3, give me the final number. If it's bigger than 3, leave it. So if this was 4 to the 4, just leave it like that. But if it's 4 to the 3, that's not too bad. And I believe that is 64. So I have 64. Is M3, do I need to flip the side it's on?
No.
No, I'm going to keep it up top. What about n to the negative 6? Yeah. N to the negative 6 is a negative exponent, so I'm going to flip the side it's on, go n6 down here.
What's this, dude?
My final answer. So 64, M3, N6.
Wow.
Alright, you guys want to do another example or you want to try one?
Try
Wait
one.
a second.
Example, let's try one.
Let's
try one.
Let's think
Yeah,
already.
let's try one. Example.
Alright, then
What's
I'm
this?
going to try
An hour
part
and
C,
40
this same last problem right here. Try it on your own, then we'll go over it together.
What's this?
See how you did? So try part C on your own.
I think I understand. I don't.
I was pretty sure 64.
I looked it up on
Okay, hold on.
So, what exponent's on this 4 right now? Before I do anything, what exponent are you? 1, right?
Is that there?
It is 64.
I just looked it up in there.
Okay, what exponent does this m have? 1. What exponent does this m have?
Oh, wait.
It's got the negative 2 already.
Oh, we didn't see?
So negative 2 times.
Oh, okay, so now I understand.
Oh, see.
I didn't.
Yes.
I don't know.
So the same thing with
Did
this
it.
one right here?
Yeah, did it.
So you're going to backwards distribute. Yeah. Stick around.
Mr. Golky, I'm done.
Alright, check with people sitting by you.
That's how far I go.
3G2.
Alright.
Mr. Golky, they're not done. What do you
What did you
expect me to
get?
do?
What did you get?
Oh wait, I got it wrong.
Jason, did you get a fraction?
Yes,
Did
I
you get
did.
1 over 9? Over 9,
Yeah, I got it.
1 G8.
I got.
What?
Actually, yeah, because the 9 had a negative
How'd you get? Where'd you get?
And then on the top.
1 over 9 times G.
What?
Okay. I'm not understanding.
Thanks, Poison.
I don't understand that.
And then one more thing.
Oh, Goofy right there.
I don't like my head. It looks disgusting.
You don't like your head?
Looks like a pill. How when it's kind of like that makes my head look more.
Oh, no,
You did. You just pressed the negative.
Right there.
Yeah, because then
Lewis.
that's the negative 2 times 9, right?
Lewis,
Which is negative 2.
what'd you
So
get?
that's why that 9 is on the bottom. Because you really have to put that to the bottom.
Junior, I'm gonna take a look at your paper. No, you got what I got. Then you're right.
And there's.
Hello.
This is Moses, my assistant. He likes working here.
You already did the times product, right?
Mr. Golky, Moses is taking a drink of his tea.
Shut up! I gave you a drink. Just leave. That means an emergency. Take your phone.
Mr. Golky.
What?
Mr. Golky.
Okay.
Study class.
Alright, so let's go over this one. So I think we are at, I don't remember where we're at. Jace, what's the first thing I'm going to do?
What?
First thing I'm going to do on this one.
You're gonna multiply that thing. Or you're gonna like use the lines.
Yeah, backwards distribute, right? Okay. So what do I get on this first one?
You get 3 and then a 1 times -2.
Which is?
3 with -2.
3 to the -2. Alright, Luis, what's the next thing I'm going to do?
What is the next thing that you
That's what I'm asking you.
you?
Just let him answer. Shut up.
Sorry, Mr. Golky.
Come on, you got this, Luis.
Oh yeah, okay. So, you G to -8.
Yep. As we backwards distribute again, these two, we're going to get G to the -8. Alright, we got to keep going. Beto,
And then you put
what do I got to do next? We're going through.
these cylinders.
Come answer, Luis.
Helping you out.
Just the next step. Yep, by doing this thing, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so I got 3 squared,
It's just covered.
G to the 8, and then, Ivory, what's the last thing we need to do? What?
It's gonna be like 3 times 3.
Yeah, alright, 3 squared, that's a nice easy one, the exponent small, which is really what?
1 over 9.
9.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you
And
said
then-
the answer was
I thought you were saying 3 squared is a 1. I'm like,
Not quite.
what?
Oh god.
Alright, and then for our last part, it's really not anything new, we're just combining everything together to make tougher problems. We'll do it this second.
No, just.
Good, I'll have to double check the next one.
Put it back down. Just one at a time.
Alright, so on this last one, we're just about done. They are basically the same thing we've done before, but this time we are just making a really long problem here. So we're going to find the simplified form of parentheses into the 5th, and then to the 2nd power, and then second parenthesis, 4m n -2 to the 3rd power. So on this, it's not any different, we just have a lot more steps on it. So I'm just going to make this a little bigger so it's easier to work with for me.
Okay.
So, just like before, first thing we got to do is our powers. We got to do the powers part first. So, we're going to end up doing it on 2 different things. I'm going to do it on this first one and get into the 5 times 2, which is in to the 10. How do you say it? And then we're going to keep going and look at our second parenthesis, do basically the same thing. I'm going to backwards distribute the 3 and the 3 and the 3, yeah, like that. And when we do it, we're going to go 4 to the 1 times 3, which is just 4 to the 3rd, right? M to the 1 times 3, which is M to the 3rd. And then N to the -2 times 3 is N to the -6. And now that we've done this, now we can put our stuff together. So as I go through this, can I put N's together with anything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I got N10, N-6. I put them together to get into the 4. And then let's keep going. I got 4 to the 3, which that's a little exponent, so I just calculate it, which is 64. And then the last one, I have M3. Do I have any other M3s?
No.
Nope, so I'm just writing it down. So the order you write these down in doesn't matter, but the most correct way to say it, you go number, and then you go in alphabetical order. So 64 M3 N4 is the most correct way to say it. It's in the right form. So if you wrote it like this up top, or if you put like the 64 in the end, it's not wrong, but this is the best way to do
It's
it.
in the middle, right?
It's still not wrong, but this is the best way. So you guys, you haven't really done this much, so I'm not going to like force you to do it yet, but keep that in mind. You want it to look like this. You want it to go number, and then alphabetical order.
Hashtag alphabet.
Alright, last in class problem, simplify the one in the box. Very close, but 9 squared is not 18. Use 9 times 2.
Wait, go.
Ready?
I need a walker.
Alright, so do the power to power part first.
So, the Y is the X. So this is what you're doing. Yeah.
Golki.
Yep.
We
But
times
we're gonna have to do it with everything.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. So this would be
So
6.
X. But this is a 3 to the 1, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the one's always
Yeah.
can't see it.
So it's a 1 times 2, which is
One times 2.
so 3 squared. What's 3
But
squared?
this one, right? 3 squared.
Not 6.
No, not 3 squares. So that'd be 9.
So you have a 9, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm alright.
instead of a 6 in front.
So it'd be 9x, right? 9x and then 6, right?
But we have to
Yeah. So I would have like that.
No, because it's separate. The exponent on this parentheses is 5.
Yeah.
So you're going to get rid of this.
Oh, okay. And this is like 1 right here. This would be 5y.
He's looking at it, he's all looking around you. Do.
Wait, because like 5. Wait, so 10 right? 10, right? I'm gonna do it.
You're confusing yourself.
You're pointing at the door.
Oh, okay. So would this just be 2, 1, and then 5?
It's a 2 to the 5.
Why am I so confused? Go.
This is exponent of 1, right? So it's like you got 2 separate ones. So I have 2y. And I do this. So this is a 1 times 1. 2 to the 1 times 5 is 2 to 5. Right? Jason, you get y to the 1 times 5 is.
Hold on.
Yeah.
And then Y stays the same.
Are you done?
That's mine.
That's
And then we gotta see if we need to fix any of these.
Okay, so would you combine these?
What do I do? That's the X, this is the Y.
No, 2 to the 5th. And I said if they're bigger than 5, just leave it. So just go like 2 to 5. Then I got times a 9, right? And can I put together x and y and all?
See these?
Let's try to put them the right way. We're
They're
gonna do
like
x
them,
first.
right? Or would it only work if they were both 3s?
So, okay, I get it.
Do it.
Oh,
This works, right? What if I put the 9 in front of the 2, 5?
That's fine, just put times in
We
between.
don't solve it.
It's a little weird because I said you're gonna have to keep simplifying.
What do I think I know what I'm doing?
Okay, so we have to put them all together. And then 2 to the 5th, that's a big exponent, right? Just leave it.
Okay, so
What is that? So, let's go like 2 to the 5th. We can leave that as an exponent.
Mr. Golki, I'm done again.
And then 9.
right?
And then go in alphabetical order. We'll try to put them right there.
Yeah, that's more organized. I can't just write them all together because then they look like variables.
So x6.
But I thought it would be the
Yeah,
Look at the variable.
makes me think
Calm
it's
down.
Alphabetical order for the next 3 variables. So x is first, and then x6.
So that's my answer.
Alright, let's see. We're gonna have somebody do this one on the board for us.
Me, Mr. Golki,
I
me.
don't know. We'll see if we're lucky. Calculator will choose
Still
you.
need help.
Okay, I'll help you in a minute.
I don't want to be.
Alright. Eeny, meeny, miny. Calculator has chosen
You. Me.
No, I will make Greg do it because his hand is hurting.
What about me, Mr. Golki?
It's already hard enough to write on this thing. Having him write with his offhand will be terrible. Nothing but scribbles. Alright, Gabe.
Mr. Golki.
Alright, Gabe, let's see what you get.
I'm supposed to do it.
Gotta wash those hands.
Moses.
Alright, Gabe's doing this one on the board, so pay attention. See if you get the same thing.
Let's see.
Kids, what?
Aluminum. What?
Were you chilling with us before we got kicked out of gym because no basketball players in there? I was bored.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous, right?
You gotta get.
Let's wait for you to finish.
What cookie?
I left my
Alright.
there. Did you see
So
it?
Gabe did the first parenthesis, looking pretty good.
It's over it.
Thanks, love. Hurry up.
No.
Mom.
Oh.
Cookie.
Second.
Cookie, turn on secret.
Oh, I missed that.
Alright, so we're gonna keep going. And he's on his second set of parentheses now.
Ah.
Just distributing that exponent 2 exponent, and we get 6. Alright, looks pretty good. And then the only other thing to change is what's 3 squared?
9.
Yeah. 2 to the 5th is a big exponent, just leave it like that. Make it easy. And but change 2 squared to 9. Otherwise, leave it like that. And normally when you write these, I won't count one yet, but as you go through these, try to remember to put them in the correct form. Biggest exponent
I
first.
can't do it anymore.
Cookie, wow.
I'm gonna do it right now, just relax. They're so meany.
I can't do it anymore.
Just want to hurry up and start on my
Sign that.
Oh, dang.
It's not that pretty. Alright, so if you haven't yet, start on your exit ticket. I'm turning on Secretive right now, so calm down all you people complaining.
Okay. Look at